Hello everyone, good day. Welcome to Grade 8 MAPEH class. And for today's lesson, we are going to talk about the lesson under health this third quarter. This is all about communicable diseases. Specifically, we are going to talk about the 6th chain of infection and the different stages of infection. Are you ready? Now let's start our lesson. Before we start with our discussion of the main topic of our lesson, let's first have a short activity. In this activity, you will just tell if the statement is true or false. Let's start with statement number 1. Communicable diseases are diseases that do not transfer from one person to another. Is this true or false? If you answered false, then you are correct. Communicable diseases are diseases that transfer from one person to another. Alright, let's proceed to the next one. Statement number 2. Infectious diseases are also called communicable diseases. Is this true or false? If you answered true, then you are correct. Very good. Let's move on to the next one. Statement number 3. Bacteria, fungi, and virus are pathogens which cause diseases to the host. Is this true or false? If you answered true, then very good, you are correct. Let's go to the next one. The statement says, the most common reservoir of pathogens is the human body. Is this true or false? If you answered true, very good, you are correct. Let's go to the next statement. The links of the chain of infection cannot be broken. Do you think this is true or is it false? If you answered true, then congratulations, you are correct. Let's proceed to the next one. Coughing and sneezing are direct modes of transmission that causes infection. Is this statement true or false? If you say that it's true, then you are correct. Good job. Let's proceed to the next statement. The diseases or infection is still communicable in the recovery stage. Do you think this is true or is it false? If you answered true, then you are correct. Very good. Let's proceed to the next one. HIV is a communicable disease which can be transferred by needle pricking. Is this true or false? If you guessed that it's true, then you are correct. Good job. Let's proceed to the next statement. This is the last statement, and this says that you cannot be infected again with chickenpox if you have been already infected before. Do you think that this is true or is it false? If you answered false, then you are correct. Very good job to all of you who got the correct answer in this true or false activity. Now let's proceed to the main discussion of our lesson. For the first topic under this lesson, let's talk about the different links in the chain of infection. First, let's define what infection is. When we say infection, it is an invasion of microorganisms into the body that are capable of producing a disease. In this chain of infection, we have 6 links. The first one is starting with pathogen. This is in the form of bacteria, fungi, virus, etc. And then it will go directly into the reservoir. After the reservoir, it will go to the portal of exit. And through the portal of exit, it will enter the next susceptible host through the different modes of transition. Now, for you to further understand these 6 different links of infection, let's first start with pathogen. So what are pathogens? This is an organism with the ability to cause disease. For example, bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoa, parasitic worms, rickettsia, and many others. After identifying the pathogen, it will now go to what we call the reservoir. It is a place within which microorganisms can thrive and reproduce. The most common reservoir is the human body. After thriving in the reservoir, the pathogens will find a portal of exit. It provides a way for a microorganism to leave the reservoir. For example, we have nose, mouth, and body feces as examples of portal of exits in our body. The pathogens from the body can be transferred from one person to another through what we call the different modes of transmission. It is the method by which the organism moves from one host to another. And we have different modes of transmission. The first one is the direct contact. We also have the indirect contact. We also have airborne, foodborne, waterborne, and vector-borne as modes of transmission. Now, after the pathogens leave the body of the first host, it will now go to the next host through what we call the portal of entry. It is an opening allowing the microorganism to enter the host. For example of the different portals of entry, we have body orifices, mucous membranes, and breaks in the skin. They may also enter through the person's respiratory system, through inhalation, and also in our gastrointestinal system through ingestion. Another way that the pathogens can enter the next host's body is through the urinary and reproductive tracts if they do sexual contact, or if they have breaks in the skin. And now for the last link in the chain of infection, we have the susceptible host. It is a person who cannot resist a microorganism invading its body. It is a person who often has a weak immune system. Now you know the different links in the chain of infection. After knowing that, we will now be discussing the different stages of infection. And in these stages, we have 4. The first one is what we call incubation stage. The second one is prodromal stage. The third one is illness stage. And the last one is recovery stage. Let's discuss these stages of infection. The first stage, if the person has an illness, the pathogens will undergo the incubation stage. It is when a person acquires the pathogen until the appearance of the first sign. It is also called the silent stage. After incubating in the host's body, the next stage of infection is now the prodromal stage. It is when there are non-specific signs and symptoms appearing in the host's body. For example of these symptoms, we have headache, runny nose, and slight fever. After feeling the different signs and symptoms in the prodromal stage, next it will go to the illness stage, or what we call the clinical stage. It is the time when illness reaches its highest point of development. Some examples of what a person feels during the illness stage are severe aches, vomiting, high fever, sore throat, and sinus congestion. After going through the illness stage or clinical stage, eventually the person will be going to what we call the recovery or convalescence stage. This is the time when recovery seems complete, although the disease is still communicable. Alright, class. Now that we finished discussing the 6 links in the chain of infection and the stages of infection, let's now test your knowledge if you have understood our lesson for today. Let's have a short evaluation. I will be giving series of questions and you will be giving the answers for each one. Let's start. First question. These are diseases which are transferred from one person to another. And the answer is communicable diseases or infectious diseases. If you have the same answer, good job. Second one, what is the disease-causing microorganism that attack the body and infect cells? The correct answer is pathogens. If you answer the same, then you are correct. Very good. Next, number 3, it is when a person acquires the pathogen until the appearance of the first sign. What do you call this stage of infection? If you answered prodromal stage, then you are correct. Very good. Let's proceed to number 4. This is the time when illness reaches its highest point of development. And the answer for this one is the illness stage. If you have the same answer, good job. You understood the topic in the stages of infection. Now let's proceed to the last question. Question number 5. It is the route of escape of the pathogen from the reservoir. And the answer for this one is portal of exit. If you answered all the 5 questions correctly, then very good. You all have understood the lesson that we have discussed. Alright class, that's all for today. I hope you learned a lot from the topic under the communicable diseases, the 6 links in the chain of infection, and the different stages of infection. I will see you all next time. Thank you and goodbye.